this is the inner garden now, and now is the 31st of May 2023. So it looks very different to how it was in the last episode. We've got our paths down and laid in the format that Alessandro excavated, apart from the one behind me, which I'll talk about in a minute. And the structure of the path, to help with drainage primarily, but also to help stop the weeds coming through, is a layer of fine sand, and we got 3 tons of fine sand delivered. Then a very good weed barrier, and then a bit more fine sand, and then on top we've got this white gravel, which they call breccia in Italian, not to be confused with braccia, which means arms. So if you go along and ask for 3 tons of braccia, they'll look at you very quizzically, but forgiving here, and they all know what you're talking about. So we did all of this ourselves. There's a lot of manual heaving with wheelbarrows, but the whole point is to try and help with the drainage for the dry Mediterranean plants, and it seems to be working because they are shooting out. Here is the other big difference from the last episode, where you would have seen me get caught up on whether it is an unofficial or official path to the olive tree area, and I think I always wanted an official path and a circle around the olive tree, but it took a bit of persuading, but we got there. So this is now an official path to what is a lovely area underneath the olive tree, particularly well looked after olive in Puglia, this one. And we've got 2 hammock chairs, and the best spot for getting the last rays of the day are these 2 hammock chairs in the sunset with a cocktail. It's very dreamy and it's very peaceful. This is the rockery bed. And the rockery bed has also changed a lot since you'll have last seen it in November, only 5 months ago. This Gaura Lindheimeri alba is taking over slightly. It's self-seeded slightly exuberantly. So underneath here, for example, there is an oregano, but you wouldn't know it. So I've got to keep an eye out on the Lindheimeri. But then the nepetas are coming into flower. The pollinators absolutely love those. Everything on the rockery has grown. So especially the Carpa brutus are now coming into their own and dangling down. And in that corner, we've got the Demondia margaritae doing their job with gradually covering the soil. It's an alternative to the lawn, and it's a dry Mediterranean plant. It just needs time. Eventually it will cover the whole thing. And the other similarity with the last episode is that the washing line spike is still a problem. As you can see, we've had to prop it up with bricks now. Again, behind the back wall, look what hasn't changed since the last episode. We still have that massive pile of sand that got taken out when we excavated the swimming pool, and we have got a plan for it, so watch this space. Over to the veranda bed, what I call the veranda bed. This one has stunned me and Pete enormously, I suppose because we get to see the most of it. We're sat right next to it. But this plant here is a Nepeta curvifolia, and it was a substitute from Olivier Filippi. I'd actually asked for a lavender that he didn't have any more of, so he rang me and said, is it okay to give you a Nepeta curvifolia? And I said, well, so long as it's a dry Mediterranean plant, that's absolutely fine. This is what we've got, and it's covered morning, day and evening in pollinators. So we've got bumblebees and butterflies and all kinds of different pollinators come and love this. The other thing I'm really proud of in this bed is that this is a Salvia sclaria, and I planted that from seed in October. I'm waiting for these incredibly intriguing flowers to come out and see what it looks like. I also planted from seed the giant fennel, which is doing beautifully, but I'm not sure if we'll get a spike this year. And also behind that, I planted a Euphorbia keratocarpa from seed. So both of those two are from seed as well. And we've got the Californian poppy, which is only going to be seen when the sun is in full shine on it. So these little beautiful little orange, golden orange poppies come out when it's in full sunshine. But this bed is doing really well, as is the whole garden, considering it only got planted in November. I'm surprised, amazed, and keeping fingers crossed that they all survive their first summer, which will be hot and dry. If you're wondering what these are mimic wasp nests. And the reason we put these up, there's one here and one by the veranda, is because the wasps around here got very productive on trying to make wasp nests in strange places, one of which was on a peg at the back of the pizza oven, on that rosemary there, and then on one of the flow mist next to it as well. And I felt awful having to move them on, but apparently if you put one of these up, they won't try and make a nest within 10 metres, so it's worth a try. And the other odd thing about this bed is these sunflowers here all got knocked out of the bird feeder that I brought over from England, thinking that the birds over here would enjoy bird food from a feeder, and not knowing or not realising that the birds out here don't know how to use a bird feeder. So it knocked around on the post of the pagoda for months, and all of these seeds went into the ground, and I've already had to thin it out once. So we've ended up with about 10 or 12 sunflowers which are doing their thing. They've survived. Finally, we have a pool. We've yet to get the patio, but we do have a pool. And considering that was a hole in the ground only 2 months ago, full of toads in the rainwater, laying their spawn and producing tadpoles. If we hadn't got them out, Pete and I would have had an apocalypse of toads in this pool when we came back from our travels. So we had to get the pool finished anyway, but that's another good reason. It's salt water. We decided to go with salt water instead of chlorinated water, and we're really pleased with it. It's very refreshing after a lot of work. In case you remember the last episode, I pointed out the Vimilnalis, I can never say it, Vimilnalis Little John, Castellimon Vimilnalis Little John, which had one shoot on it, and this is it now. So we're well away with the Castellimon Vimilnalis Little John. He's definitely recovered, I'm pleased to say, even though we haven't got any flowers yet. So the other survivor that I want to show you is the one that came all the way from California, the Salvia Gregi Furman's Red. And I showed you in one of our previous episodes that I had one little shoot, and this is it now, and it's beginning to flower, but it's one very delicate stem, and but it's great to see that. And behind it we've got Mornipaters absolutely covered with bees at the moment. And over here, this is worth showing as well. I thought that this plant had died completely. This is a Helianthus maximali, and when I cut it back, I thought, oh no, we've lost it, because I've only lost, in the inner garden, we've only lost one plant, and that's a Stachys cretica. And I don't know if it's particularly hard to please or something, but it never appeared. Whereas this one, it looked like it had died, and then suddenly these have come up this year, and it won't flower until September, but I'm very excited to see it, because it's definitely showing the signs of being a survivor. So we hope you enjoyed the revisit to the inner garden, which is now looking better than it ever has. And if you'd like to follow us, then please do. You can comment in the box below as well. Subscribe if you'd like to know that our next episode's coming out in 3 weeks' time. And that is going to be a change from dry gardening. we're going to look more at the sort of building and renovation side of the project that we've been doing for the last 18 months. So do join us for that. Bye.